What a view!
This is incredible.
An Ontario County nonprofit.
Overlook Horizon high altitude balloons.
3, 2, 1, launch.
Hey guys, Tori here from Overlook Horizon. We're back again. We were just here like an hour ago. We're back again. It's Rocket Palooza here. We got so much happening. In case you're watching the replay, which how could you be watching the replay? It's a historic launch here. We got to be watching this live. But in case you're watching the replay, right now it is Sunday, August 30th. It is 6:45 p.m. Eastern time here on the East Coast. What time is that? What is that UTC? I don't know. But anyway, somebody's got to do the conversion. I've been talking so much today. We're live doing Kerbal. We're live doing the SN6. What time is it UTC time right now? I don't know. I have no idea. But we're live. Plus 4 hours. Right. We're 11:46 p.m. That's what I... All right, there we go. Everybody's giving me the time. 11:46 would be 23:46. That's UK. It's 22:46 UTC. That would be 4 hours from now. Because what are we? 18:46 UTC. Anyways, if you're watching the replay, I'll put timestamps in the description below in case you want to skip through, jump to all the good parts. But everything's a good part here today. This is exciting. This is a historic launch tonight. This is a big deal. We haven't done something like this since the 1960s. And what is it you say? Well, we're launching SAOCOM-1B. I say we're launching it like I'm involved. It's not. I'm not involved here. We're just watching together. SpaceX is launching SAOCOM-1B, the satellite for the Argentinian National Space Agency. And the thing that makes it such a big deal, it's an Earth observation satellite, it's a big deal for Argentina. If you're Argentinian or from Argentina, this is a big deal for you guys. But for SpaceX and for the US, it's also a big deal because this is going to be the first time that we have launched a polar orbiting satellite from Cape Canaveral, Florida since the 1960s. And there's a reason for that. I've got, in case you haven't seen it, I have a whole video about it it's on our YouTube channel. It talks about the historic SAOCOM-1B mission. Essentially, we screwed up in the 1960s. We had a rocket go wrong. We had to blow it up intentionally because it was going wrong. But a piece of that fell into Cuba at the height of the Cold War. You know, here, whole Cuban Missile Crisis, Cold War. Us in Cuba, we weren't really seeing eye to eye at the time back in the 60s. Not sure if we're seeing eye to eye now, but anyways, piece of the rocket landed in Cuba, killed a cow in Cuba. Crazy. The weirdest freak accident ever. But Cuba took the opportunity to say that the U.S. was reckless and we're dropping rocket debris left and right all over the place. And they went to the United Nations. They were like, what are these guys doing? They're raining rocket debris on our country. So it was kind of crazy that this happened. They paraded a cow in front of the U.S. Embassy with a sign on it that said, Eisenhower, you murdered my sister. It's crazy. So we stopped polar orbiting launches from Cape Canaveral, and instead we went to Vandenberg Air Force Base on the West Coast, and we've done all our polar orbiting launches from Vandenberg since then. Now, we're starting this again, and the main reason why we can do this again now is because SpaceX has an automated flight termination system. They're one of the only companies that has an automated flight termination system. They might still be the only company with an automated flight termination system. And the big thing about that is, if something were to go wrong with the rocket, there's two benefits that an AFTS, automated flight termination system, has that the manual flight termination system does not have. So manual flight termination systems would generally need a ground controller, the range safety officer, to send a self-destruct command to the rocket, and then it would blow up. So the downside to that is you need radio communication from the ground to do that. And if you're going down range, that could be spotty. But also the automated flight termination, so the automated flight termination system can do that automatically. You don't need, if it gets off its planned trajectory, it can abort, self-destruct. But what the automated flight termination system can also do is plan on how that self-destruct might happen. So a range safety officer might have to make a split-second decision and be like, oh, this is not good, abort, button. And then it blows up and you're like, ooh, all right, we blew it up. I mean, that sucks, but it's blown up. Not thinking of where the debris is gonna come down. Now, I'm sure I might not be giving them enough credit, but this was the 60s. I mean, we're just early space flight here. Now, with an automated flight termination system, that automated system could actually go, oh, we're going off the planned trajectory, but let's not abort yet, because it probably wouldn't be good to abort yet. Let's wait a couple seconds. Let's see how this plays out. Let's just let it fly a little bit further, and then we'll blow it up, because then we'll be over water when all the things come down. So there's much bigger benefits than an AFTS has that a manual termination system does not have. Now, I mean, you could do all that with a manual system, but the computer can just do it a whole lot faster. So anyways, this polar, let's jump on over here. Let's dive into it so we can see what happens. So here's the flight trajectory for today. This is actually, it's kind of crazy too, because if you look at, it has like 2 dogleg turns. You can't really tell on this map here. Let me pull up my other map here. This one. It has like 2 dogleg turns here. So it's launching from Slick 41. Or Slick 40. Sorry, Slick 40. Which is SpaceX's pad here. The southern pad. They also launched from 39A. That's what Starlink was supposed to launch from this morning. Scrubbed till Tuesday. But Starlink is on 39A right now. We're on Slick 40. Which is where this red pin is here. It's taking a southern track. A lot of people surprised by this because the United Launch Alliance has a national security payload that is loaded up and ready on pad 37, or is that on 34? I think it's on 37. I think it's 37, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be 37. Now I'm second guessing myself. But anyways, it's to the south of it. It's almost in the direct path. So the SpaceX rocket is going to have to fly over 37. Thank you, 72 Galaxy Tank Girl, correcting me on that. So SpaceX is going to fly over, almost over, not directly over, but practically over the top of the United Launch Alliance rocket that's sitting on the launch pad right now, which is a national security payload. Those are like the top priority payloads for the US and for range, for the 45th Space Wing range. They always get top priority national security payloads. It's basically a spy satellite. They get top priority. They don't want anything to happen to that thing. And so normally, what everybody thought, that was supposed to launch, when was it? 2 nights ago? I don't know, all my days are running together. But it was supposed to launch already, and everybody was like, oh, well, that means it's going to push SAOCOM, because there's no way they're going to let SAOCOM fly over the top of this rocket and put it potentially in danger there. Surprise! They're going to let it fly over the top of it, which is also kind of crazy. So anyways, it does this, like, in order to stay away from population, it's going to do this dogleg maneuver. So it's flying this way. It's going southeast, going this direction. Then it's going to go, take a turn. You don't see this a lot with rockets. Taking a turn a little more southeast now, heading this direction. And then when we get down here, another one. All right, now we're like going around Florida, basically, right off of Palm Beach. If you're on the east coast of Florida, this is just flying down the coast. So we get down to where West Palm Beach is here. It's going to take another like this, and now it's going southwest and heading this direction. It's going to skirt right over Miami Beach there, heading down this direction, and that's the final turn that it makes there, and then it's off to the races. Flying over Cuba again. Get your cows out of the way. We're flying out of Cuba again. Flying over Cuba again, but it leaves us with this crazy, this is the launch hazards map here. So it's basically like all the hazards that they publish to maritime vessels and to aircraft and things like that in the area. So it's this crazy looking shape here because you have this hazard here that's a potential hazard for if something were to happen to the rocket before it makes this dogleg maneuver. You got to figure where the debris will head. So it would head this direction towards the Bahamas, but not all the way to the Bahamas. Then, once it heads this direction, once it heads down this direction, it'll jettison the fairings before it makes this second dogleg turn. And the fairings are going to actually land over here. This is where Gomez Chief is positioned to try to catch the payload fairing out in this region. Then it makes the turn and heads south-southwest. Because there's this crazy looking trajectory here, which is going to be, it's just insane to think about how this is going to work. And on top of all of that, in case that wasn't enough, I don't know why I'm shaking my finger like crazy, but in case that wasn't enough, we're doing an RTLS landing today. That's a return to launch site landing. So essentially, it's going to come. We can see it. We might see it from here. No, let's do. Oh, I got another map somewhere. Or did I not pull it up? Oh, I didn't pull it up. Let me pull it up real quick. From the magicians at flightclub.io. Where's SAOCOM? There it is. Let me run this simulation here real quick so we can pull up the 3D map. Then you can see this one. Tell the Cubans to place all their cows indoors, right? So, here we go. All right, just pulled up here. So the return to launch, the RTLS landing, you've got, all right, let's see. Can we, yeah, oh, like this? Yep, like that. Okay, there we go. So, does this not show? It's interesting the way this shows this. This doesn't seem right. But it's going to land, it's going to turn around, come back, and land right here. There's the landing pad. You got LZ1 and LZ2. I'm not sure which one is 1 and which one is 2, but there's the 2 right there. So they say return to launch site, but it's not, it's kind of a little short of the launch site, but yeah. So that's where it's headed. Now, maybe, I don't know why Flight Club has it shown like this. This is supposed to be an RTLS landing. Has that changed? Am I wrong on this? That has not changed, has it? Landing. No, it says Cape Canaveral is the landing. I don't know. I'm not sure why Flight Club is showing this trajectory like this. So, anyways, a couple of people asking about where they can get this. If you type !path in the YouTube chat, it'll give you a link to Flight Club, so you can go play around with this yourself. You can also type !hazards in the YouTube chat, and it'll give you the hazards map, which is this one here, in case you want to see that as well. Now, the big... Are you showing the correct mission? Yeah, it says SAOCOM-1B right there. It's the only one that goes south. It's got to be the correct one. Now, the big thing today that they're keeping an eye on is weather. Because right now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but as of right now, they are fueling the rocket. Weather is trending favorable. But it is currently in a no-go condition right now. So weather is currently no-go, but it is trending favorably. Which means that's why they started fueling the rocket. Because they think there's a chance. Here's the launch day forecast from the 45th Space Wing at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. And the forecast is 60% no-go, means only 40% go. Main concerns are thick cloud layers, cumulus clouds, big anvil clouds. You can't fly through that stuff. You gotta have an opening. You gotta fly through the gap. You can't fly through big, thick, cumulus anvil clouds. No can do. So that's gonna be the problem today. So currently no go on the weather. You can see this is the radar here for Florida. You can see all these storms in the area. Afternoons in Florida, thunderstorm central here. So not good. These storms down here, not much of a concern because the rocket's going to get up and over those storms before it even gets there. So it does have to fly this direction, but it should be up and over these storms here very, very quickly. So not concerned about those. Mostly concerned about this stuff right here. these things here, those things there, and this radar map has a cloud layer feature, but I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of this myself. Although you can kind of hover over and it says 70% cloud cover, 80% cloud cover, but cloud cover is not really what we want. We want to know like how thick the clouds are. You know, if they're small wispy clouds, like no big deal, we'll fly right through them. But if they're big thick clouds, problem central. No good. That's the problem. So weather's going to be the big issue because right now we're no go for weather. But they said on mission control. I was listening to the mission control audio. I actually have it up here too, so you guys will hear it. They don't talk very often, but you'll hear it if they do say something. But they were. Oh, SpaceX just tweeted. What did they just tweet? You'll hear the mission control if they say something new. But I have not heard anything yet. What did SpaceX just tweet? T-minus 30 minutes to fucking nice. Two rideshare payloads, teams keeping an eye on flight weather. That's nothing really new. Just said it might happen soon. Okay, cool. So, big historic launch for today. Heading this direction, going to the south. Very exciting. You might be, and especially because it's very close to sunset. You may get a cool view of this if you're anywhere along the east coast of Florida, because it's coming right down the east coast. Look you can see. I mean, this dogleg maneuver is not quite as drastic as it looks in the hazards map. It's more of a big sweeping turn. I mean, rockets are going fast. They can't really turn on a dime like that, but that's what we're looking at here. It's a go. Well, it's not a go, David. It's no go right now, but they're pressing forward. They will make the final determination at T-minus 60 seconds, basically 1 minute before launch. So right now they're pushing forward. It looks like it will trend in a good direction. Well, there we go. SpaceX is coming live here now. It's trending in a good direction, but right now it's no go. So what is this mission about? Well, this is an Argentinian payload, SAOCOM-1B, built by Argentina. It's for the Argentinian National Space Agency. Big deal for anybody in Argentina. This is a big satellite launch for them. Huge accomplishment for Argentina. There's also 2 rideshare missions on there as well. There's the GNOMES-1 mission and the TIVAC 0172, which we don't really have any details about. We just know it's a little tiny satellite. The GNOMES-1 is it's observing, I believe it's observing like radio interference from GPS signals, and that has something to do with weather, how they're monitoring like how weather affects radio signals. That was kind of the rough idea on what I got for it. We don't have a ton of details about it because it is that secondary rideshare payload, but that's what we're launching today. So technically there's 3 payloads on board, but the main one is SAOCOM-1B, and it's going into this polar orbiting sun-synchronous polar orbit that is sun-synchronous. The sun-synchronous essentially means that it will pass over the same spot at the same time every single day. So if it passes overhead at 12 noon, it will always pass overhead at 12 noon every day. So that's the idea between sun-synchronous. And what that's really beneficial for is if you're trying to track changes to a certain area over long periods of time, you don't really want to fly over at different times of the day because it might change your imagery or things like that. So flying over at the exact same time every single day gives you consistent imagery so you can track changes over the course of a time period. What happens when they fill the rocket but they don't launch, so they lose the fuel? They lose a lot of it, but not all of it. They can detank and recover some of it. All right, looks like SpaceX is going live. Let's listen in.
Good evening. It's Sunday, August 30th, and we're here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. You're looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 rocket
countdown
as it awaits
clock.
its 7:18 p.m. Eastern Time launch from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. My name is Michael Andrews, and I'm a supply chain supervisor here at SpaceX. For tonight's mission, we'll be placing the SAOCOM-1B Earth observation satellite into a low Earth sun-synchronous orbit for the National Commission of Space Activities of Argentina, known as CONAE. Now, it's the second and final satellite of our SAOCOM constellation. If you recall, SpaceX launched the first satellite, SAOCOM-1A, back in October 2018 from Vandenberg Air Force Base in Florida. The satellite's main goal is to gather soil moisture information. The data provided by SAOCOM helps increase productivity and competitiveness of sectors like agriculture by generating, for example, risk maps that can help control crop diseases, by implementing efficient fertilizer systems, and for early flood warnings. The two SAOCOM satellites will work in partnership with Italy's COSMO-SkyMed constellation. All the satellites will work together to provide Earth imaging. Each SAOCOM satellite can acquire about 225 images every day. We also have two smaller Rideshare satellites on board, Tyvac 0172 and the GNOMES-1 smallsat for Planet IQ. Now, Planet IQ designs, builds, launches, and operates one of the most advanced constellations of radio occultation weather forecasting satellites. Radio occultation is a technology that measures and analyzes the signals generated by GPS satellites to determine weather data such as pressure, temperature, and water vapor. This data is used in weather forecast models to greatly improve the accuracy and extend the range of those weather predictions. Now, tonight's launch is an especially exciting one. It's SpaceX's first polar orbit from the East Coast. A polar orbit is one in which satellites pass above the North and South poles as opposed to the equator. This is the first polar trajectory since the late 1960s flown out of Cape Canaveral. SpaceX worked closely with the Air Force and the FAA to create a trajectory that meets the necessary safety requirements for flight. Falcon 9's autonomous flight termination system, its exceptional reliability, and its improved performance over heritage launch vehicles is a key factor in why SpaceX is able to meet the unique performance and safety challenges of launching this polar mission safely from the Cape while still delivering the payload to its desired orbit. Due to the flight path tonight, people along the eastern coast of Florida, including Miami, may be able to see Falcon 9 as it launches to space, as well as our second stage burn following stage separation, and maybe even the first stage boost back burn as it makes its way back to Earth for landing. And because of the time of the day of launch, about 30 minutes before sunset, we might get nice illuminations of the contrails if clouds aren't in the way. Now let's take a look at Falcon 9 out on the pad at the Cape.
Good evening. My name is Andy Tran, and I'm a production supervisor here at SpaceX. We're looking at a live view of Falcon 9, our 70-meter, two-stage liquid-fueled launch vehicle as it sits at Cape Canaveral. The bottom two-thirds of the vehicle is the first stage. Its objective is to accelerate the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere and then separate from the rest of the rocket. For today's mission, it's going to be the fourth flight for this particular first stage booster. It previously supported two cargo resupply missions, CRS 19 and 20, as well as our 9th Starlink launch in June of this year. Like its previous missions, we are going to be attempting to recover this booster, but this time back at land on Landing Zone 1. Now, after the first stage separates, the second stage will then carry the SAOCOM-1B and our two Rideshare satellites to a sun-synchronous orbit. Sun-synchronous orbits travel over the Earth's poles as the planet rotates underneath, with the satellite passing over a particular section of the Earth at the same time each day. This type of orbit also provides a constant amount of sunlight, making them especially good for imaging satellites like the ones we have on board tonight. At the top of the rocket, you'll notice a large nose cone. This is called the satellite fairing. It's a composite structure and protects the rocket from the forces of ascent and also houses our payloads. Once the vehicle is outside of the Earth's atmosphere, the fairing will separate to expose the satellites into space. For tonight's mission, both fairing halves are brand new. We only have one recovery ship supporting today's mission, Miss Chief, you can see on screen right now. So we won't be able to attempt to catch these fairing halves, but rather try to scoop them out of the water once they land.
You can see it's only got the small net. Only got the small net there.
To support today's Starlink mission, which has now been rescheduled for later on this week. And finally, the large truss structure next to Falcon 9 is called the Transporter Erector, or TE. The TE's job is to roll Falcon 9 out to the launch pad, raise it to a vertical launch position, and also route power, fluids, and communication to the rocket and satellite.
Falcon 9 rolled out to the pad with the payload on Friday evening and went vertical yesterday at 2 p.m. Eastern Local Time. The SpaceX chief engineer held a technical poll at T-minus 1 hour, and our launch director held a propellant load and launch go, no-go poll at T-minus 38 minutes. If we do have to call a hold on today's launch for any reason, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow, same time, pending range acceptance. In terms of fuel, Falcon 9 began loading propellants at T-minus 35 minutes, and that process is still currently underway. Falcon 9 uses a refined form of kerosene called RP1, Rocket Propellant 1, for its fuel, and super chilled liquid oxygen, known as LOX, for the oxidizer. Currently, RP1 is nearly fully loaded on the first stage, about 36,000 gallons, and the second stage is fully fueled at about 9,600 gallons. Liquid oxygen, though, it's still loading on both stages. In terms of helium, we've also begun to load helium into Falcon 9. The vehicle uses helium gas as a pressurant and helps push the RP1 and LOX through the Merlin engines. Think of like your car, gravity keeps all the fuel at the bottom. We don't have that luxury in zero gravity, so the helium pushes that fuel to our engine's turbo pumps. And then at T-minus 7 minutes, our engine chill process will begin. This is where we allow a small amount of the super chilled LOX to flow into the Merlin engine's turbo pumps prior to the full flow of LOX into the vehicle. This helps us avoid any kind of thermal shocks to the system. That LOX is negative 338 degrees Fahrenheit after all. Finally, the transporter erector will retract away from the rocket slightly at around T-minus 4.5 minutes, and this provides enough clearance for Falcon 9 to lift off.
This is an interesting camera view.
The vehicle is healthy, and we, the folks in Mission Control, are currently working no issues on the rocket. In terms of the payload, at T-minus 15 minutes, the SAOCOM-1B satellite finished transitioning from external to internal power. Our two Rideshare small sats were already on internal power before the countdown began. It's been a busy weekend at the Cape with a lot of launch opportunities, but the range is approving us and accepting this this launch attempt. But weather, let's talk about weather.
Yeah, weather.
We know that it did postpone our Starlink launch earlier today, and it does have a real chance of doing that again for this mission. There are a lot of storm cells being generated in Central Florida, and they're heading east towards the Cape. We're still monitoring that situation, and we probably will down to the last minute. But barring weather, all systems continue to be go for a liftoff at 7:18 p.m. Eastern Time.
Those are storms.
Tonight's launch is of the SAOCOM-1B satellite for our customer CONAE, the government of Argentina's National Civilian Space Agency. SAOCOM-1B is part of a two-satellite system that will use a radar technology known as synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, to monitor the Earth. As we mentioned earlier in the webcast, SpaceX launched the first of these satellites, SAOCOM-1A, in the fall of 2018. With the launch coming up in just about T-minus 6 minutes and 30 seconds, let's take a closer look at the capabilities of the SAOCOM-1B satellite.
All right, so they're playing some music. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit because I don't have the rights to play their music, so I'm going to play my own music. And we're going to chat it up here a little bit, just to give you an idea on what's about to go down. So we're going to have a launch here, hopefully at 6 minutes. And then we also have a Rocket Lab launch, which is in like 3.5 hours from now-ish. So we're going to be live again about 3.5 hours from now. So we got two more events today, this one and another event. I'd also like to take the chance to say you should join our community where we talk about stuff like this and we hang out. So if you're not already, you subscribe to the channel, maybe join us over on Discord where we chat in between launches and things like that. You can chat with other like-minded people who love space flight and all this kind of technology and science stuff. And then if you're really into this kind of stuff, maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. We do some behind-the-scenes stuff. You get some bonus content, and you can join in on some Kerbal Space Program streams, which I failed massively at earlier today. But you can join us for some of that bonus content if you become a Patreon member and support us there. So I see our moderators drop some links in our YouTube chat. I'll also drop the Discord and the Patreon links in Facebook and Periscope and Twitch as well, in case you want to jump in and join us, so that even when we leave today, we can still chat it up. But this is a big deal today, launching polar orbit, first time since the late 60s. It's a big deal for Argentina. If you're Argentinian, this is a big deal for you guys as well. It's a big deal for the US being able to launch polar orbits from Cape Canaveral again. One of the real big things that this is nice for, too, is that SpaceX has a lot more infrastructure at Cape Canaveral. They can launch Falcon Heavy there. They have two launch pads that they can launch regular Falcon 9s from. So if they needed to do multiple launches or a faster cadence, they can do that much more easily at Cape Canaveral. They have more resources there that they don't have to truck boosters out to the West Coast and back, when they recover them, and so it's a lot more resource. We also have the drone ship. There's no more drone ship on the West Coast. That drone ship is now over on the East Coast exclusively. So we've got 2 drone ships on the East Coast, no drone ships on the West Coast. So we've got a lot of stuff that's good on the East Coast that makes launching polar orbits here much better for the betterment of spaceflight and SpaceX in general. So it's exciting times. We can do this successfully. Might see this a little more often here now. And you can see how SpaceX is kind of threading the needle right between the islands there.
From liftoff, Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. The vehicle remains in good health, but the weather is actually now go. The status has changed last minute.
All right.
In terms of fuel, the first and second stages are now fully fueled with RP1. LOX loading will continue for the next few minutes. And also one thing you'll hear 1 minute before liftoff, you'll hear the announcement that Falcon 9 is in startup mode. This means that the rocket's own internal computers are now autonomously controlling the launch countdown. The SAOCOM-1B payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather has just recently opened up and is looking good, and the range is green for launch. As a reminder, if we don't launch today, we do have that backup opportunity tomorrow, pending range acceptance at 7:19 p.m. Eastern local time. And with just under 3 minutes to go before launch, let's listen in to the final countdown prior to liftoff.
All right, so things are looking good, actually. Weather just switched over to being go. That's good news. It's actually kind of surprising. I was actually thinking that we were gonna scrub again for today, and I thought we were gonna go 0 for 3 because Starlink got scrubbed earlier today. We've got the SN6 test flight that we were waiting for.
Our 9 Merlin engines on the first stage are chilled. They're ready for flight. The LOX loading will complete on that second stage in just a few seconds. Once that occurs, you'll start seeing more of this white clouds venting.
I got a little quick shout out too, because I see Jerry just joined our Patreon, supporting our Patreon. Jerry, I've seen him on Twitter all the time, but I think it's Jerry's birthday too. What a great birthday gift, Jerry. Joining the Patreon
as our LOX
for your
is
birthday.
fully loaded,
Happy birthday, Jerry.
Off, you'll start seeing this condensation, these clouds form more and more right up until liftoff.
All right, this is the final big vent here. Is it Jerry or Gary? I think it's Jerry with a G. Did I say it wrong? I think it's Jerry. Anyways, this is the final big vent here. Right before we press for flight. This is ground gas closeouts. They're purging all the lines. We're gonna go into startup here. I'll get all this stuff out of the way here in just a minute.
Startup mode. Falcon 9 has taken over the remainder of the countdown. We're just waiting for the go for launch callouts.
Here we go. Get a go from the launch director.
Stage 2, press for flight. LD, go for launch.
There we go. We're going for it. Weather is good. Weather is good. Look at this. I can't believe they're going for it. Look at, they have just a tiny gap of clouds right there. Getting ready to get myself out of the way here in just a second.
T-minus 30 seconds.
The pad mics are very loud here at pad 40, so I'm going to crank the volume here and I'll go quiet so we can hear. We're going to really hear it. You got headphones on. Be warned. Hey, Helmet, thanks for the super chat.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Appreciate that, Helmet. Here we go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff of Falcon's first East Coast polar launch, Hola, Argentina.
Ooh, through a little bit of clouds there. Turn it to the south.
now 40 seconds in the flight. Falcon 9 has taken off. It's cleared the tower, and we're currently throttling down to prepare for maximum Q. That's the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. It's at 1 minute 12 seconds.
She's gonna be turned into the left here. Throw the events on here just so you can see it. Max Q coming up.
Supersonic.
Look at that beauty. Love it. We should get good video of the landing too because it's an RTLS landing.
Vehicle has reached maximum aerodynamic pressure.
You've heard it. We've reached max Q. At this point, the loads in the vehicle become less and less as the atmosphere gets thinner. We're now able to throttle those Merlin engines back up. And at its maximum power, like right now, the vehicle consumes more than 700 gallons of fuel per second. All is looking good with our first stage's trajectory. The next couple events, there are 5 events, one after another. First, our main engine cuts off on our first stage. The stages will separate. Our first stage will then flip around to begin its landing attempt. The second stage's Merlin vacuum engine will ignite for second engine start 1. The first stage's boost back burn will start. It's one of 3 burns to help us land. They occur one after another in about 15 seconds.
I'll give you the events list here so you can see
This is
Nico
that first
coming up.
polar orbit. If the clouds, you can see through the clouds here, you'll see some unique views that you haven't seen from Falcon 9 over Florida.
Yeah, this is going to be great. If you're on the east coast of Florida, go take a look.
And we have Miko.
There's Miko. Look at look at that
confirmed.
view of separate. Oh, they cut away at it. Come on. That would have been a cool view to see. I wish they would have stayed on that. Oh, there you go. Now they cut back to
all
it.
of those events happen successfully one after another. This boost back burn, it'll last about 40 seconds.
Look at the boost back. You can see that.
As you see it on the left-hand side of the
see
screen,
the
on the
booster there,
right-hand side, you will see our second stage carrying those 3 satellites to orbit.
That was cool. We got to go
coming
back.
up next
We got to go back and watch that. You can see the booster just yeet itself out of there. Just see ya. I'm going back. We definitely got to go back and watch.
Phase 1 boost back shutdown.
There's the end of the
All right,
boost back burn.
The first landing burn, the boost back burns has successfully ended. Our 2 fairing halves will now jettison to expose the satellites to space.
This is after the first dog leg, so we've already made that one turn. We
So
got
the
kind of
first
the
stage
2
has already
turns
been
there.
a turnaround, and you can see the nitrogen from our attitude control system helping guide it back.
So fairing jettison is
Fairing
after the...
separation confirmed.
Here we go. There. Then they can
There you
show
see
us
our
the
2
engine
fairing
bell.
Signal,
halves
Bermuda.
have jettisoned. You can even see them in the background there on our MVAC engine.
look at
and
that view.
You can see them from land,
Look at
too.
that.
It'll
That
take
is
us some time
awesome.
to get those to come back down. We'll keep you posted on the update.
Oh, we got a space caterpillar on the left screen. The space caterpillar is back. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll go over
We
that
are T
in a
plus
minute.
4 minutes and 13 seconds into flight. Everything is looking great for tonight's mission. On the right-hand side of your screen is a view of our second stage, specifically its Merlin vacuum engine. We also call it MVAC engine for short.
Oh, we got another
It's
caterpillar.
currently in the first of its 2 planned, first and only planned MVAC burn. The first burn should last for about another 4 minutes. On the left-hand side of your screen is a view of our first stage looking downward. It's continuing to fall back towards Earth. The next milestone for the first stage is its first stage entry burn. Falcon 9 needs to execute an entry burn to slow itself down before hitting the dense parts of the atmosphere. Without this second burn, relying on the atmosphere alone to slow Falcon 9 down would put unnecessary strain on the rocket. That entry burn is coming up at T plus 6 minutes and 10
Second stage
seconds.
is following nominal trajectory.
We got so many things to go back
Signal,
and
South Texas.
we got so many things to
You may
go
have
back and
also
look
noticed
at.
that we've deployed our 4 hypersonic grid fins. Those are the honeycomb-like structures that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. They help to guide the first stage back during descent by moving the center of pressure on the vehicle.
Man, we got so many things to talk about.
Again, those bursts of gas are nitrogen. It's absolutely normal, and those help to orient the rocket during its descent back towards Earth.
Watch these clouds come up from the booster there. You'll see how fast it's actually going. Kind of tough to tell right now.
20 seconds away from our second burn, the entry burn.
Stage 2 FTS has safed.
That's the Stage 2 flight termination system. Once they're pretty much in orbit, they safe that, meaning they deactivate it. There, oh, big thrust. Big thruster burst there on the booster. You can really see those against the dark clouds there. It's starting to get, of course, it's starting to get dark in Florida now. Here we
Stage
go.
1 entry burn startup.
And 3 Merlin engines have relit and are currently slowing the first stage down before it hits those dense parts of the atmosphere.
So this is the entry burn, and then we'll have it'll cut off again, and we'll have a landing burn.
The right-hand side of your screen is continuing to perform as expected.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And that is our second burn completed. And as we mentioned earlier, we are going to be attempting to recover this booster back at land on landing zone 1. The first stage has one more burn left.
Is saved.
That is the landing burn. It begins just before we touch down and provides the booster with a soft descent before we land.
Now that booster, the grid fins now are doing a lot of the work to kind of push it to the landing site.
You might be able to catch it right before we touch down. They're stowed at the base of the vehicle and made up of state-of-the-art carbon fiber and aluminum honeycomb.
So generally,
Stage 1 transonic.
you can see we're pretty much lined up now. But before this,
you can see the cape
they
getting
target
closer and closer.
the water. Oh, look at the grid
what a
fins.
cool
That
view.
looks awesome. Look at that.
The first stage is
It looks
passing
so
through
cool.
the cloud layers right now.
Going through the clouds.
Stage 1 landing burn startup.
Yeah, land it, baby.
And here
Come
comes
on.
Falcon 9 attempting its 4th landing.
There she is. A little wiggle, little wobble. Bring those legs out.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
And you could not ask
Stage
for
1
a
landing
better
burn.
landing than that. Falcon 9 has landed once again. That is number 4 for this first stage booster and the 58th overall of an orbital class rocket. What a way to start off tonight's mission.
That's awesome.
Second stage and our primary mission are still continuing and remain healthy. The next milestone for the second stage is second engine cutoff 1, also known as SAOCOM-1, and that is coming up at T plus 10 minutes and 5 seconds. During second engine cutoff 1, we'll be shutting down the second stage's INVAP engine. And as we approach this period, we'll be listening very closely for 2 callouts: verification of SAOCOM-1 and then confirmation of a good orbital insertion. Both are going to be critical to ensuring that we deliver all 3 payloads to their intended orbits tonight.
All right, yeah, we got so much to go back and look at. So we're going to have SECO. Then we have, like, 4 minutes later, SAOCOM gets
And while
deployed.
we're waiting for that period, some fun facts. The engine you see on screen can produce over 200,000 pounds of thrust. The second stage is currently traveling at over 20,000 kilometers an hour. At those speeds, you could travel from Los Angeles to New York in just 12 minutes. Very, very fast.
So after SAOCOM deployment, we're going to go back and look at some stuff, because we got so many things to look at. This is one of the cooler launches I've seen.
We're about 20 seconds away from second engine cutoff 1.
It's like real rocket science, says Jamie on Facebook. Right? Of course. Somebody asked if the fairings are going to be caught. They're not going to be caught. They are going to soft land in the water, and then they're going to get picked up out of the water. So they're not actually doing a catch attempt.
And we have SECO.
There we go.
And the second stage Merlin vacuum engine has successfully had SAOCOM-1.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And that is the other call out we were waiting to hear on, a good orbital insertion. In just about 3 minutes, we will have the first of our 3 deployments Until then, we are going to take a short break and be back around the T plus 13-minute mark for the deployment of the SAOCOM-1B satellite.
All right, so they're going to take a quick break. While they break, we're going to chat it up. We're going to hang out. Going to hang out for a minute and discuss. We're going to go back and watch a couple of those replay items right after the SAOCOM deployment here, which is coming up in 14 minutes. So we got about 3 minutes until SAOCOM's deployed. Then we're going to go back and watch those because that was pretty awesome. Like seeing the fairings deploy from the ground, that was pretty cool. We don't usually see that because it goes way out over the ocean and it's long gone by the time fairings are deployed. See, I wish they would have stayed on booster separation from the ground. They cut away at the last minute there. That would have been kind of cool to see. We kind of saw right before and right after. But even right after, you saw the booster start the boost back burn. It was like, eek, get out of here. It was heading back to the landing site. That was pretty cool to see. And what else did we see? I can't remember what else we saw. We saw some space caterpillars. We got to explain what the space caterpillar is for everybody that's not in the inner circle there. And then we saw a couple of space mice. What everybody thinks is a mouse hitching a ride aboard the Falcon 9 rocket. Saw a couple of those. You can actually see right there is a really good view of the liquid oxygen venting out. Right there. That's what that big white stream is there. Liquid oxygen venting out of there. That's where the space mouse comes from. It's solidified oxygen. It's not a mouse. You know what? You know how big that mouse would be if that was really a mouse? It'd be a huge mouse. It's just solidified oxygen. It's just coming out of that vent port. Right there. You can actually see it right here. There's a bit of solidified oxygen. It looks like it's about to fall off. There's a little bit of vibration there. Plus there's more venting happening. So there's more coming out behind it. This is like slow venting at this point. But yeah, it's solidified oxygen, and little pieces will break off of that, and then they get stuck. So you can see some of it right here as well. They'll get stuck on this piece of engine plumbing right there. There's actually probably this little bit here. It's probably already little bits and pieces of solidified oxygen. So there's the mouse. We got the mouse. We got the caterpillar. We throw in the space lobster that keeps making an appearance up in the top right corner. It's like an aquarium here. It's an aquarium? No, there's no mice in an aquarium. Neither are the caterpillars either. I don't know. It's a zoo. A zoo? Aquarium? Whatever. You get the point. You know what I'm talking about. So there you go. There's a big giant piece of oh, there it goes. It broke off. It's just solidified oxygen. Oh, go back to it. It would have been cool to see that bounce around. Oh, there it is. It's back. So remember, the oxygen is traveling just as fast as the rocket is. There may be like subtle differences in speed, which is why they may separate and not stay together, because there'd be like subtle, even just a little minor difference in speed.
Just joining us, we successfully launched our Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral on a polar orbit trajectory. We had a successful stage separation, a successful land landing, the fourth landing for this booster, and we're waiting the deployment of the SAOCOM-1B satellite. It's just about 10 seconds, 15 seconds away. It's the second and final satellite in this constellation. We first launched its sister satellite, SAOCOM-1A, in the fall of 2018.
We want this one. So we should have deployment pretty much right here. This is the main satellite, SAOCOM-1B. There it goes.
Separation confirmed.
All right, you've seen it, we heard it. Successful deployment of that SAOCOM-1B satellite. And as a reminder, this satellite and SAOCOM-1A's satellite's goal is to gather soil moisture. It helps increase the productivity and competitiveness of the agriculture sector. It helps us generate risk maps that can help control crop disease. It helps implement better fertilizer systems and provide early flood warnings. These two SAOCOM satellites work together with Italy's COSMO-SkyMed constellation, and they work together by providing up to 225 Earth images per day. But we still do have two satellites left to deploy. We're going to go into another coast phase. This one will last about 45 minutes. We're going to take a break, but we're leaving you with an animation that shows where we are in that coast phase. We'll be back at about T+1 hour for the deployment of the TIVAC 0172 and GNOMES-1 Rideshare satellites. We'll see you then.
Okay, so they're taking another break. And while they take another break, now it's time for us to go back and take a look. We got a long time here until the little Rideshare satellites come up. We got like about 45 minutes before they do that. About half an hour is when we get the fairing landing. I should have changed the text on the events list. It's not a fairing catch, it's just a fairing landing today. because the two catcher ships, Miss Tree and Miss Chief. Miss Chief is out there for this one. Miss Tree was actually out in the Atlantic further for the Starlink launch that was supposed to be this morning. And they just, I don't know why they didn't try to catch one. Might be interesting to see if they try to catch the Starlink one. Or if Miss Chief heads over there and tries to help out. I'm not sure. But they might have not gone with the catch here because of it being a polar launch and it's kind of confined area. I'm not 100% sure why they didn't try to at least catch one half. But regardless, they're letting them soft land in the water. And they go pick them up, put them in the Go Miss Chief ship, and bring the fairings back. They can still reuse them, even if they soft land in the water. Just takes a little bit of extra refurbishment. Maybe. We don't even know that 100% for sure. But we know that they have reused fairing halves and full fairings that have soft landed in the water. All right, let's catch everybody up on what I was talking about when I was randomly going on about animals and insects and things like that, because everybody's like, what? What are you talking about? Why are you talking about caterpillars and mice and all that? What? Who are you? All right, let me back it up, and I'll tell you what we were talking about. So, let's get the animal thing out of the way here, so we can clean that up for everybody that's just lost in the woods here. So the space caterpillar, for those of you that haven't been around my streams for very long, the space caterpillar is something we call this little bit of liquid oxygen. Liquid oxygen is all over the place here. I mean, they're constantly venting it because as it warms up, it's got to get vented out. And they also do, right before separation, they do an engine chill where they flow cold liquid oxygen through the engine plumbing to chill everything down and make sure that they don't get shocks to the system. Why can I not pause this? Okay, it's not gonna let me pause. All right, well anyways, here's the, I can't do anything. All right, cool. Well, it'll let me do that. Okay, hold on. I don't know what's happening with, now will it let me go back? There we go. Okay, now we're in better shape. Okay, just a minute. Let me, all right, there. Okay, look at that. The fairing halves jettisoning. Okay, space caterpillar. This little thing right here, I don't know why we call it a space caterpillar, because it looked like a caterpillar the first time we saw it. It's really, all it is a little piece of liquid oxygen that comes out of the liquid oxygen vent ports during engine chill, and then after separation, there's a hose there, and there's still some liquid oxygen stuck in the hose, and it comes out of the hose at the vent port, which is right here by the grid fin, just above the grid fin. And it kind of flicks off into space here, and eventually, sometimes you get these long, stringy things that are like partially solidified, sometimes not fully solidified, and it can kind of look like a worm going around. In this case, it was tumbling end over end, so it didn't look too much like a caterpillar. But you got one right there, and then here's another one. This one was a little closer to looking like a space caterpillar. It's just this little piece of liquid oxygen that it kind of comes out the vent. Oh, here's a good view. All these hoses here, these are all the vent hoses from the second, that connect to the second stage. After separation, they're no longer connected, and that's where you get that liquid oxygen can get trapped in that hose and comes out of, it just comes out of the vent port. So that's the space caterpillar. In case you want to know what the space caterpillar is. If you really want to be on the inner circle, we have space caterpillar t-shirts. Then you can wear space caterpillar t-shirts around, and people will be like, what the is a space caterpillar? That's how you really confuse your friends. Just like I confused all of you. That's how you know you're on the inner circle. Okay, so then you got the mouse thing. The mouse thing is right, oh, there's a good example right there. See if it runs around. So you get this buildup of liquid oxygen that gets stuck on this plumbing here, and occasionally you'll get a big piece of it that'll, like, from the vibrations and the movement of the second stage, it'll scurry across the plumbing there, and people think that it's a, I don't know, people think that there's a mouse stowed on the rocket, and therefore the launch is fake because there's a mouse stowed on board. I don't follow the logic, but I'm not the one that says it. There's conspiracy theories all over the place about the mice that hitch ride on SpaceX rockets. It's the craziest thing to me, because scale-wise, if you were to actually measure it out, this mouse that people think hitch a ride on the SpaceX rocket would be like the size of a cat. Is huge. It's not a mouse. Anyway, so that's what this little bit right here. Sometimes it'll scurry along there and it just kind of follows that piece of plumbing. People are like, it's a mouse, it's fake. So there you go. So there's the two animals. The space lobster is a longer story. We're not going to get into that. That's just been a long recurring theme on the channel, is the space lobster. What else did we have? All right, let's go back. Let's go watch the launch again, because that was pretty cool. We're gonna crank the volume again, and we just gotta watch it again. There were a bunch of things that were pretty awesome there, so let's crank that volume up and watch one more time.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff of Falcon's first East Coast polar launch, Ola, Argentina.
Stage 1 course nominal.
We're now 40 seconds in the flight. Falcon 9 has taken off. It's cleared the tower, and we're currently throttling down to prepare for maximum Q. That's the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. It's at 1 minute 12 seconds.
So there's our launch, the actual launch replay. Now, during this whole thing, we get a ton of cool views that we don't normally see, because a lot of the times, you know, this is going out to sea, and so we don't get this side profile view of the rocket hardly ever. I mean, sometimes it'll go up northeast to the coast, but even when it does that, there's no tracking cameras up. You know, you have to be out of the Outer Banks for tracking cameras to pick that kind of thing up, and it's just so far out there that we don't see this kind of stuff. So we get a really cool view, like side profile view of almost separation. I'm sure there's video of that somewhere. They cut away from it at the wrong time. I'm sure, I hope, there's a Twitter account, Cosmic Perspective, that does like telescope tracking. If they got a view of that separation and the fairing jettison with their telescope, woo, woo, oh, that's gonna be glorious. That'll be amazing. I gotta check out. Everybody's got to check out the Twitter account, Cosmic Perspective. I think that's what it is. They do some amazing telescope work, tracking these rockets. We're gonna have to check that. They won't have it up by now, but later, hours later, they might have it up. Maybe during the Rocket Lab launch. So here you go. Here's that profile view of SECO. That's right where they cut off. I'm annoyed that they cut off there, but then they go back to this separation view. And you can see the boost back burn start, and the booster just yeets out of there. It's like, see ya, here it goes, right here. Watch how fast they separate. That's so cool looking. I don't know why I just feel like that's awesome looking. We don't ever see that. And don't forget, during that boost back burn, it's still ascending. It's still going up. So while it's boosting back towards the landing site, it's still ascending. So it's going up and it's going back towards the launch site, or trying to null out its velocity downrange. It's nulling that out and going back and still ascending. I don't know why I'm doing it all with my hand. I can do it with the booster here. So it's boosting back this way and ascending still until it hits apogee, and then it's got to turn around. And this is actually the second stage. This is not the first stage, but you get the point. You get the point. Don't at me in the comments.
Fairing separation confirmed.
dropped frames a bit. Yeah, I don't know why I just dropped some frames. I see that I just dropped a bunch of frames.
Have jettisoned. You can even see them in the background.
There you go. Look at this. Look at this view. This is awesome. Right there.
It'll take us some time to get those to come back down. We'll keep you posted on the update.
Then we get our Caterpillar. I don't know why. So today's been not a good day for my internet connection because this morning I woke up and I had no internet connection. Let me close, just closing some things down in case there's something that's eating my resources here.
It's currently in the first of its first and only planned MVAC burn. The first burn should last for about another 4 minutes.
Okay, so
on the left-hand side of your screen is a view.
And then we get the landing. So we're gonna go. Let's see. So we can. Do we fast forward? We just let it play.
First stage entry burn.
I don't know.
Falcon 9 needs to execute an entry burn to slow itself down before hitting the dense parts of the atmosphere. Without this second burn, relying on the atmosphere alone to slow Falcon 9 down would put unnecessary strain.
I think we'll just play it through and let it go to landing because these are pretty cool views.
Second stage is following nominal trajectory.
Acquisition of signal, South Texas.
You may have also noticed that we've deployed our 4 hypersonic grid fins. Those are the honeycomb-like structures that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. They help to guide the first stage back.
Yeah, and actually, I forgot about during that first stage. So I started talking about this as like during the actual launch. So the first stage targets the water as it's coming back with those burns. It targets the water, and then the grid fins, at the last minute, will push its way out towards the actual landing site. And really, that's for safety purposes. If something were to go wrong in one of those landing, when one of the re-entry burn didn't actually start up, then you're landing in the water. And we saw that on CRS 16. So we get a little bit of grid fin action that pushes us back towards the landing site here. And then those grid fins, as it goes through the cloud layer, just looked amazing. We'll see that here in a minute. We're going to see that in a minute while I take care of a Facebook troll.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And 3 Merlin engines have relit and are currently slowing the first stage down before it hits those dense parts of the atmosphere.
Might get some feedback here in a second. Actually, I can do it. I'll do it on my phone.
Second stage on the right-hand side of your screen is continuing to perform as expected.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And that is our second burn completed. And as we mentioned earlier, we are going to be attempting to recover this booster back at land on landing zone 1. The first stage has one more burn left. That is the landing burn. It begins just before we touch down and provides the booster with a soft descent before we land. During this period, the landing legs will also be deploying. You might be able to catch it right before we touch down. They're stowed at the base of the vehicle and made up of state-of-the-art carbon fiber and aluminum honeycomb.
Stage 1 transonic.
There you go. Look at it go through the cloud layer right here.
You see the cape getting closer and closer.
Look at those grid fins.
Yeah, what a cool view. The first stage
so
is
awesome
passing
looking.
through the cloud layers right now.
You can see the air deflection, like right when the... Hold on, back
Stage
that
1
up.
landing burn startup.
Back that up for a second. Right when the engine kicks, you can see a little bit of the air deflection as it's coming in. It kind of just wobbles just a little bit. When the engines kick on, gets a huge air deflection right there to make sure that it's still on course.
Stage 1 landing burn startup.
That's cool to see with the clouds flowing through it.
Falcon 9 attempting its 4th landing.
That is awesome. And then RTLS landings are amazing because you get crystal clear video and HD video the whole way here. It's a little bit dark there, but still clear video, which is kind of awesome. We don't have to worry about the drone ship shaking around. And if you're in Florida, you get sonic booms from it. Usually 3 sonic booms.
And you could not ask for a
that.
better landing than that. Falcon 9 has landed
That is
once
so
again.
cool.
That is number 4 for this first stage booster and the 58th overall of an orbital class rocket. What a way to start off tonight's mission.
So that was so awesome. Like I don't know, probably my
continuing and remain healthy. The next milestone for
My favorite view. I'm gonna back this up a little bit.
Clouds, you can see through the
Stage separation confirmed.
Right here. This is the thing that you don't see very often. Call that the rocket frog. Now we're giving everything
And
animal names. I know that's just what we do on this channel. I don't know. I can't explain it.
All right, all of these.
Look at
events
this, the
happen
booster
successively
heading
one
out.
after another. This
You can see the boost back burn.
It'll last about 40
Boom,
seconds.
right there. And it's like, see ya.
So you see it on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side, you will see our second stage.
And then
carrying those
the
3,
fairing jettison
satellites
was
to orbit.
also really cool.
And coming up next in about 20 seconds, that boost back burn will end, and then we'll have our fairing deployment.
Where's the fairing deployment?
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
All right, one of those first landing burn, the boost back burns has successfully ended. Our 2 fairing halves will now jettison.
Here we go.
To expose,
Coming up on that fairing
the
jettison.
satellites to space.
I loved this view as well. This was cool looking.
You see the first stage has already been a turnaround, and you can see the nitrogen from our attitude control system helping guide it back.
Fairing separation confirmed.
There we go. So we see the inside the fairing. We see that SEP right there.
There you see our 2 fairing
Acquisition
halves.
signal.
And then the ground view. You see it in the engine bell view right there, and then that one right there. Look at that. We never get that view. That is so cool. I wish they would have stayed on that for a long time. You know, at least track that down a little more.
To come back down, we'll keep you posted on the update.
Or was it? Did I miss it already?
Specific first of its
I think we missed it already.
Engine, and
there it
you
is.
can see them from
Right
land
past.
too. You can even
That
see
is
them
so cool.
in the background there on our MVAC engine, and
I love
you can
that.
see them from land too.
I love that. That might be my favorite view. Is the fairings. Even though they're tiny and they're minuscule and you can barely see them, it's just so cool to see.
From land too. It'll take us in the background there on our MVAC engine, and you can see them
Man.
from land too. It'll take us some time to.
All
get
right,
those,
where are we?
Come back down. We'll keep you
Let's go
posted.
back to the live view. See, whoa, all right, they got some music going. So at this point, we've got about half an hour to go. So we're gonna hang out for a little bit. We may even watch another uninterrupted replay, because we got a lot of rocket stuff happening today. So while we're hanging out and we're waiting for the next deployment, I'll take this opportunity to say, maybe consider subscribing, maybe like the video, join our Discord. We got a bunch of people chatting it up over on Discord. And Jonathan over on Facebook, just joined the Patreon. Jonathan, you rock, man. Thanks for joining the Patreon. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it. Now Jonathan has access to our secret channels on Discord, or at least he will once I get off stream. I think Patreon does it automatically, but I usually do it faster than the Patreon automatic one does. But he has access to the secret channels and our bonus content and the behind-the-scenes secret live streams that only Patreon members have access to, where we can play Kerbal Space Program and talk about how orbital mechanics work. And you can watch me land a starship on the moon and Mars like we did a couple last week or the other week or whatever, whenever we did that. So yeah, we got some secret channels that only the Patreon members know about. And now Jonathan is part of the inner circle. So thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate you jumping in and joining us there. Let's go back and see. What did I miss? I haven't seen a lot of comments, so let me go back and see your comments here while we wait, because I feel like I haven't read a ton of your comments. So, you can see a lot on this launch. Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, we've got a Rocket Lab launch coming up. That's about 2 hours from now. We'll have another live stream. We'll end this one, and we'll go live again for Rocket Lab. Why 3 sonic booms? I heard it here at Vandenberg. So the 3 sonic booms, they're very quick. It goes ba ba ba. Actually, there's usually like a tiny little space. It goes ba ba ba. Anyway, how'd you like that? Is it good? The 3 sonic booms are essentially, it's three major points that are going transonic. I'm pretty sure that's the explanation. I'm not a sonic boom expert, but as it comes transonic, it's the engine bells, the landing legs, and the grid fins each create their own sonic boom, and they're very close together because they're close in the same vehicle. But you hear ba ba ba. Usually, it's pretty cool to hear. Scares you sometimes because I always forget about it. The times that I've gone to Cape Canaveral and I've watched in person and I've seen the landing, like you watch the landing come down and you're like, woo, it landed, all right. And then you kind of turn around and it's a couple seconds later, it's ba ba ba, and you're like, oh, great, sonic booms, forgot about that. So sometimes you forget about it, but they're really cool. Patrick's been watching launches since 1961. Watched Alan Shepard take off in a Mercury Redstone. Grown up with the space program. That's awesome, Patrick. I wish I could have been around to see all that stuff. That's an exciting time. What does Rocket Lab do or supposed to do? Well, we're going to talk more about Rocket Lab at the Rocket Lab launch tonight. But Rocket Lab is a small satellite company, much smaller rocket, and they launch very small satellites. The satellite they're launching tonight is only like 200 pounds. I think. Pretty sure that's I don't have my sheets up for Rocket Lab, but I think it's only like 200 pounds. Which is not a lot more than what I weigh. So it's a small satellite compared to like something that's the size of an SUV. Try restarting your router. Yeah, you know how many times I've restarted my router today? Too many to count. I just attribute it to the space lobster. Really, that's the problem. Space lobster. Is it not the problem? Let's ask Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut. Tim, it's the space lobster, isn't it?
Space lobster ate the T-Teb. That's the answer.
I knew it. I knew it was the space lobster. Even Tim knows. Tim knows.
Space lobster ate the T-Teb. That's the answer.
That's the answer. It really is.
Lobster Fest is on.
That's just the explanation for why my internet went out. Let's see. Okay. A couple people went back and watched the space lobster video. So many people get confused about the space lobster. Jonathan's going to get a t-shirt now. He's going to charge his wife for his birthday on September 12th. Well, happy birthday, Jonathan. Definitely charge the wife for a t-shirt. Get yourself the new deorberate t-shirts. Deorberate, right? The deorberate ones. The word that I made up during one of the recent live streams. It's going to deorberate. That's right. It's going to deorberate. It's going to deorberate. Frames yeeted right out of there. Everybody talking about my dropped frames. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Let's see. I'm going back through all the comments here that we missed. That I missed. They should have had cameras on boats. I bet there's people with footage of this. I'm hoping people post footage on Twitter, on YouTube. I would love to see some of that footage from anybody that's on the East Coast. If you got footage, tweet it to me at OLHCN. The handle's down there. Tweet, or even if you see somebody else's footage, retweet it and tag me in it so that I can see it. Then I'll retweet it. Please hold while Space Lobster's causing technical difficulties. Everybody talking about that. All right, I think I went far enough back in the comments. If I missed your comment, you just tell me. Cricket's dropping frames. I don't think we've dropped frames recently. But that cricket was... He really annoyed me. We had a cricket in the studio in the last launch, and he was so loud. I'm not actually cursing. I just like to push the button. Close the Boca stream. I have all the Boca Chica streams are closed. They shouldn't be open. Plus, that would only affect my download speed, not my upload speed. I mean, it can affect both. I can bottleneck on the network. I'm not gonna bore you with all that, but. All right, what are the other drum-like noises during re-entry burns I see in here? I thought I heard a long whistle sound as it re-entered too. You're talking in person, Dana? I've never heard any other sounds other than just, you know, the engine and the sonic booms. Joan Rosario Maria said we saw it in the Dominican Republic. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. Okay, Seguin, you missed my chat. Sorry. Say it again. I don't have someone see the blinking object in the right side of the screen same time the satellite was set out. Right. I don't know what you're talking about. He says there's a blinking object. Okay, we'll go back. Let's look at satellite deployment. We got a blinking object in satellite deployment to look at. You're just talking about this? We got like camera flare. This is just camera flare right here. Same here. Where are you talking? I don't see any blinking object. Somebody have to give me a timestamp and we can take a look at it. What would you have done if Boca Chica and this launch were happening at the same time? We would have just switched back and forth between them. You guys would have gone dizzy, waiting to seeing all that, flipping back and forth like crazy. Top left blinking. Top left? I see no blinking in the top left. Where are you talking? Give me a timestamp. I see no blinking. I don't see any blinking. I got nothing. Just ice. It could just be ice. There's always ice around. There's ice. I mean, there's debris. You're talking about like this little bit up here. I would just classify as just a little bit of debris. Ice usually is the culprit there. Right by my hat. Oh, this thing right here? That's probably just ice. Just a little piece of debris that's spinning rapidly. Looks like. Remember, you get vibrations from the rocket and things like that, you know, stuff breaks off. Not like operational things, but it's super cold liquid oxygen that's, when it's on the launch pad in 90-degree Florida weather, you get condensation and freezes to the outside. So you can get ice on the outside. And then as you get to space and you get vibrations and you get separation events and you get BECO and SECO, and I mean, it jars things loose. So those are all just pieces of ice. That's what it is. Ice and mice. That's all. Nothing to see here. Carry on. Where are we at the... Okay, we're about 15 minutes away from the final deployment. Here's what we're waiting on. Where is it? Got too many buttons here. This button. So you can see where we're at. We're waiting. So the fairing should be coming down. We're not going to hear about it because they're not actually going for... they're not actually going for a catch, but the fairing landing, it says fairing catch on the events. The fairing landing will happen pretty much in about 30 seconds or so. It's usually about 45 seconds after launch. 45 seconds, 45 minutes. God, that'd be interesting. Fairings landing 45 seconds after launch. 45 minutes after launch is generally when that happens. Hey, John Calvert. Thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Thanks for supporting the channel. Hope you guys enjoy this kind of coverage and these sort of discussions. Because if you guys are enjoying it, then I'm enjoying it. Actually, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it either way. But I'm glad you guys are here with me to hang out and chat it up. So thanks, John. Thanks for supporting the channel here. It's not ice, brah. Like The Tic Tac video and those what? I have no idea what you're talking about, Kian. A lot of people go crazy about the I don't know, all those everything we talked about here today. Like, it just drives people crazy between the mouse and the ice and the caterpillar and the I don't know what else do we have. It drives people crazy. Everybody's looking for a reason why it's faked. He's saying it's aliens. Okay, you're probably right. It's aliens. That's it. That's the answer. That's the answer.
Space Lobster ate the T-Teb. That's the answer.
That's the answer. That's really it. This is great. Thanks for doing this. Thanks, Farrell. Appreciate it. Catherine's having a good time. I think this live stream of Tori is fantastic. Well, thanks, Catherine. Appreciate that. Everybody's saying I think this was the best launch. I think you're right. I think this is one of the coolest ones we've seen yet. Just because we get that side profile view, which we don't normally get. Like, that was so cool. To see that side profile view. All right, I'm gonna replay this one more time. For anybody that missed it, because we got about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna replay this. I'll replay this one more time here. In the meantime, while it's replaying, I'm gonna crank the volume up, and I'm gonna give our new Patreon members access to the secret channels on Patreon. If you got to make sure your Discord profile is connected to your Patreon account. So go into Patreon, go into your profile settings, make sure your Discord account is connected, because I'm gonna give you access right now to our secret channels while we replay this. And if you need an invite link to Discord, there should be one in the chat. I'm sure one of my moderators will put it in. But here's the replay.
1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff of Falcon's first East Coast polar launch, Ola, Argentina.
Stage 1 course nominal.
We're now 40 seconds into flight. Falcon 9 has taken off. It's cleared the tower, and we're currently throttling down to prepare for maximum Q. That's the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. It's at 1 minute 12 seconds.
Wrong screen. Keep the Discord off that.
Vehicle is supersonic. Vehicle has reached maximum aerodynamic pressure.
You've heard it. We've reached max Q. At this point, the loads in the vehicle become less and less as the atmosphere gets thinner. We're now able to throttle those Merlin engines back up. And at its maximum power, like right now, the vehicle consumes more than 700 gallons of fuel per second. All is looking good with our first stage's trajectory. The next couple events, there are 5 events, one after another. First, our main engine cuts off on our first stage. The stages will separate. Our first stage will then flip around to begin its landing attempt. The second stage's Merlin vacuum engine will ignite for second engine start 1. The first stage's boost back burn will start. It's one of 3 burns to help us land. They occur one after another in about 15 seconds. And this is that first polar orbit. If the clouds, you can see through the clouds here, you'll see some unique views that you haven't seen from Falcon 9 over Florida.
Hey, Frederico, thanks for the super chat. Says, as a Brazilian physicist, I would really like to thank you for enlightening such a complex subject. Well, thanks, Frederico. It means a lot coming from a physicist. I appreciate that. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for supporting the channel. Look at that separation.
All of
I love
these events
that.
happen successfully one after another. This boost back burn, it'll last about 40 seconds. And so you see it on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side, you will see our second stage carrying those 3 satellites to orbit. And coming up next in about 20 seconds, that boost back burn will end, and then we'll have our fairing deployment.
Coming up on probably my favorite part of this was just seeing that fairing deployment. That was so cool looking.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
All right, one of those first landing burn, the boost back burns has successfully ended. Our 2 fairing halves will now jettison to expose the satellites to space. You see the first stage has already been a turnaround, and you can see the nitrogen from our attitude control system helping guide it back.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Here it comes. What? Man, this ground view.
There you see our 2 fairing halves have jettisoned. You can even see them in the background there on our MVAP engine, and you can see them from land too. It'll take us some time to get those to come back down. We'll keep you posted on the update.
We are T plus 4 minutes and 13 seconds into flight. Everything is looking great for tonight's mission. On the right-hand side of your screen is a view of our second stage, specifically its Merlin vacuum engine. We also call it MVAC engine for short. It's currently in the first of its 2 first and only planned MVAC burn. The first burn should last for about another 4 minutes. On the left-hand side of your screen is a view of our first stage looking downward. It's continuing to fall back towards Earth. The next milestone for the first stage is its first stage entry burn. Falcon 9 needs to execute an entry burn to slow itself down before hitting the dense parts of the atmosphere. Without this second burn, relying on the atmosphere alone to slow Falcon 9 down would put unnecessary strain on the rocket. That entry burn is coming up at T plus 6 minutes and 10
Second
seconds.
stage is following nominal trajectory.
Acquisition of signal South Texas.
You may have also noticed that we've deployed our 4 hypersonic grid fins. Those are the honeycomb-like structures that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. They help to guide the first stage back during descent by moving the center of pressure on the vehicle.
So a couple of people, I see somebody's asking about objects moving under the booster. I didn't see any objects, but if you have a timestamp, we can go back and look at it. And somebody else said it looks like the motor had burnout or something. So there are 3 burns during, I'm assuming you're talking about the first stage booster. There are 3 burns that happen with that first stage booster. So there's a boost back burn that basically nulls out the horizontal velocity and sends it back towards the landing site, back towards the launch site. Then there is the entry burn that slows the booster down before it re-enters the atmosphere so it doesn't rip apart as it comes through. And then there's the actual landing burn. And each time the engines start up and then they shut down. So there's separate startup shutdown for boost back, startup shutdown for re-entry burn, and then startup shutdown for the actual landing. So there's a bunch of different
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
bunch of different burns there.
And 3 Merlin engines have relit.
John wants to know how can I subscribe and pay to support your YouTube channel? Well, thanks, John. Your best option is to join our Patreon. We've actually, I just saw Latch actually Latch was already a Patreon member, but Latch just upgraded their Patreon, which I think Lax is 72 Galaxy Girl, Galaxy Tank Girl. I think it's the same person.
And that is our second burn completed. And as we mentioned earlier, we are going to be attempting to recover this booster back at land on landing zone 1. The first stage has 1 more burn left.
But if you join the Patreon, that helps it, supports the channel, keeps us doing cool things like this, helps me. Remember, Overlook Horizon, for those that don't know, in case you're new to the channel, Overlook Horizon is a non-profit, so any of this stuff that you're doing, that you're supporting, technically does not come to me. It doesn't come into my pocket. It all goes right back into this channel. We're a registered 501c3 non-profit organization for spaceflight education. So anything anything that you support the channel with, it's really just helping me make better content. Helps me get cameras and audio equipment and microphones and lights and all this kind of stuff to put together good quality videos. And as a Patreon member, you also get access to some of those secret channels where you can help me script videos, come up with ideas, see some bonus content, all that kind of stuff. We do that over in Discord with our Patreon-only secret channels.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
And you could not ask
Stage
for a
landing.
better
There we
landing.
go. Look at
than
that landing.
Falcon 9 has landed once again. That is number 4 for this first stage booster and the 58th overall of an orbital class rocket. What a way to start off tonight's mission.
All right, so Emily on Facebook says there's something around the 3-minute mark. Let me see. Where are we in the live broadcast? We're 56 minutes, so we got some time here. So T plus 3 minutes or something like that.
So you see it on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side, you
Somebody
will see
says there's something
second stage.
something going under the booster, maybe?
And coming up next in about 20 seconds.
Hey, Christy, thanks for the super chat. #1 fan. Thanks, Christy. Appreciate that. Thanks for supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. Glad to have you here. And I do want to say, it's great if you want to be a Patreon member and you want to help support. That's fantastic. But just being here is support too. So if it's not in your finances, don't let me pressure you into being a Patreon member. If you could keep your finances in order, you don't have to be a Patreon member. Just be here and chat it up with us and hang out, and that can be enough too. If you want to go the extra mile, Patreon's a cool way to do it. But there's just my spiel. I don't want anybody to feel like watching isn't enough. That's a lot, believe me. Sorry, I forgot to pay attention. So there's a couple things. I mean, the only things that I see here on this replay here at the 3-minute mark is a lot of pieces of ice, which again, after separation, a lot of things jostle around, breaks up, breaks off. I mean, now we're getting buffering here. Well, let's do this. Okay. Oh no, don't play the music here. All right, so we're back to live. I'll turn my music up. So we're coming up on deployment soon. So you don't have too much time to go. We got some time. How's things going with the SN6 hop? Not good. not good. It was supposed to happen. They tried 2 or 3 times today, and they canceled and aborted, and it didn't go well. So it doesn't sound like it's going to happen today for SN6. That's the Starship prototype, but it may. Why are we? Oh, I'm not live. Go back to live. There we go. I was wondering why this wasn't actually running. All right, and this is not a replay, so we'll get rid of the replay text. We'll do that. Okay, and I'll bring it back to here so you can see me. Remember, you guys want to see me, don't you? So yeah, SN6 maybe tomorrow. We don't know. We have no idea. But hopefully we see a Starship. SN6 is the Starship prototype. Looks like a big flying grain silo. Was supposed to hop today. It did not. Technically, they have about 40 minutes left in their window that they could still hop, but as far as I know, there is no progress towards that, so it sounds like it's not happening today. So the only thing left on the docket here for today will be Rocket Lab's launch, which will be later tonight. We'll be live around 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is in about 2 hours and 10 minutes from now. So we're going to get this deployment here, the last 2 satellites, which happen at T plus an hour, what is it, an hour and 1 minute and an hour and 2 minutes. So it's coming up real soon. And then I'm probably gonna cut off and head out of here, just so I can like lay down and decompress here, because I've been in front of this camera like literally all day. So I'll head out. Oh, here we go. They're back.
And close to the end of today's mission, which launched this evening at 7:18 p.m. Eastern. We then had successful lighting and shutdown of our second stage Merlin vacuum engine, then a successful deployment of the SAOCOM-1B satellite for Argentina's National Space Program. Coming up, we have the deployment of our 2 Rideshare satellites. First up is the GNOMS-1 satellite for Planet IQ that occurs at T plus 1 hour, 1 minute, and 37 seconds, followed shortly after by the TIVAC 0172 satellite. For the GNOMS-1 satellite, due to the placement of our cameras, it's not likely that we'll have visual confirmation of the GNOMS-1 deployment, so we'll be listening in on the communication channels for that. And a little bit more about Planet IQ. They design, build, launch, and operate one of the most advanced constellation of radio occultation weather forecasting satellites. Radio occultation is a technology that measures and analyzes the signals generated by GPS satellites to determine weather data such as pressure, temperature, and water vapor. This data is used in weather forecast models to greatly improve the accuracy and extend the range of weather predictions. And here's a fun fact about Planet IQ's microsatellite. It's about the size of a carry-on bag, weighing about 39 kilograms or 86 pounds.
So we're not going to get... There's no visual confirmation on this.
From the GNOMS-1 payload deploy.
And that's because the GNOMS-1, they only have one camera that faces up at the payload, and the GNOMS-1 satellite is on the opposite of this opposite side of this payload adapter, so we just can't see it. It's on the other side of it.
Planet IQ separation confirmed.
There we go. There's separation
and
confirmed.
We did get confirmation that the GNOMS-1 satellite did successfully separate. We're now waiting on our final deployment today, and that is of the TIVAC 0172 satellite. And for this one, we should be able to see the deployment.
So we should see this one. This one's coming up here. What is that? Hour, 2 minutes, and 19 seconds. So that's about,
just about
10 seconds.
To 20 seconds out.
He says 15 to 20. All right. Guess he knows better than I do. Oh, come on, really?
TIVAC separation confirmed.
Right at separation.
And we did get confirmation of the TIVAC 0172 satellite separation. That is our last payload for tonight. It's been an exciting evening. We saw a successful liftoff from our Cape Canaveral Air Force Station launch pad at 7:18 p.m. Eastern, the first polar orbit launch for SpaceX at the Cape, and the first originating from Florida in decades. From there, a successful stage separation, a land landing of our first stage back at Landing Zone 1, which marks, and this is a small correction, the 59th landing of an orbital class rocket, not the 58th. And finally, the deployment of the SAOCOM-1B satellite for the Argentinian Space Agency, along with our 2 Rideshare customers. With that said, we will be bringing our webcast to an end.
But before we go, we'd like to thank our customer CONAE for tonight's mission and their great support, as well as Rideshare customer Planet IQ. We'd also like to thank the United States Air Force for range support, as well as the Federal Aviation Administration for the licensing of today's mission. Please continue to follow us on SpaceX.com for future missions and milestones, as well as our Twitter and Instagram profiles. And if you're as excited by what you've seen tonight as we are, and you want to join our team, please visit SpaceX.com/careers to learn more about working with us at SpaceX. And finally, thank you to you, all of our viewers, for your support and for tuning in. We hope you have a great night.
All right, well, we waited all that time, and we didn't even get to see it deploy. Oh, come on. Like, we were... Back it up here. They were like, could it have been any more... So you can see, like... I'm assuming it's in this box here, because you can see the box right there, and then you see it open. But we don't... We see nothing deploy. And then, of course, like, literally, it's coming in like 3, 2, 1, deploy. What? It just... and then it's gone. Where is it? It's got to be on the other side of that. We can't see... I don't know. Well, that was annoying. Just like, where is it? I can't see anything. So... All right, well, we waited all that time, and we didn't even get to see the deployment of either of them. GNOMS-1 is on the other side, and TIVAC 0172 was right there in this thing, and can't see anything. Okay, well, bummer. All right, well, I wanted to thank, we got a couple other new Patreon members. Looks like David Lee jumped in the Patreon. Thanks, David. Thanks for jumping in and joining our inner circle. As soon as I get off the stream, I'll make sure to expedite your access to our secret Discord channels. So you can make sure your Discord account is connected to your Patreon account. Then I'll be able to grant you access to our secret Discord channels. And if you need an invite to Discord, I'll drop a link in the YouTube description. There should already be one in the Facebook, not description, but the chat, the YouTube chat, the Facebook chat. Oh, I'm already my brain and my mouth are not operating on the same frequency right now. It's gonna make for a rough Rocket Lab broadcast in 2 hours here. This is why I gotta recover for a little while. See if I can sync up the brain and mouth activities here. So anyways, what time is your next stream? So it's gonna be, I don't remember exactly what time I scheduled it for. What time did I schedule it for? Like 10:30 Eastern time, which is in like almost exactly 2 hours from now. I don't remember. We've had so many launches today that I can't remember the exact time. So it is scheduled for 10:35 Eastern time. So it's exactly 2 hours and 10 minutes from now. Is when we'll do our next live stream. So we'll do that. We'll be back here again in 2 hours and 10 minutes for that live stream. I'm gonna go lay down and see if I can get my thoughts together. And in the meantime, I'll probably chat it up on Discord. We'll say hello. So at least if you want to come join the Discord and chat with some like-minded people, jump in there and join it. Patreon members, we'll do some more chat as well. That's usually actually where I spend most of my time in Discord, because I gotta get back to the Patreon members that are supporting the channel. But we will we'll be back here. What else do we have to say? I don't know. We'll be back here in 2 hours and 10 minutes. Somebody has a question. Let's see. Brian, question: with all the satellites that Elon is planning to put up for the internet, does it not pose a threat for future space travel? No, I don't think it poses a threat for future space travel. It maybe poses a threat for astronomy. I don't think it poses really any threat for future space travel. Remember, space is huge. It's huge. So much space up there. If you're a Patreon member, you can actually watch me try to dock the two starships together and see how far away things really are. There's so much space up there that even if you put 40,000 satellites into orbit, which is what their goal is, you're still going to have plenty of room. It's not like there's going to be a band of satellites that you got to fight your way through. I mean, there's still plenty of room up there. So no, I don't think it's a threat for future space travel. But if you're an astronomer and you're trying to take long exposure pictures in the night sky, they really need to sort out the reflectivity issue and try to make them less reflective, because that could be a detriment to astronomy. And they're working on that. They all have sunshades now. Let's see. David Brown wants to look at smoke from pad 39 at T plus 525 as the booster aligns for landing. Well, we can go look at that timestamp, but I don't think you're going to see pad 39, because this doesn't land anywhere near pad 39. Pad 39 is much further to the north. So this is landing at LZ1. Just to give you, did I already close the map? I already closed the map. Let me pull up. Here, I'll pull up the hazards map just to give you a quick reminder on what we're looking at here. So here, oh, I got too many. Hold on, too many launches. Get rid of that one. We don't want that one. So landing's happening way down here at LZ1. This is where you're landing. Pad 39A is way up here. This is pad 39A. So I don't think pad 39A is going to be visible in this clip that you want to see, but I could be wrong. Let's see. So where was it? 545? I mean, I do see like this little bit here, which I think, well, I'm not entirely sure what that is. Is that what you're talking about? Like this little bit here, this bit? I mean, I don't know what that is. And that could just be cloud cover, but it looked kind of freaky, but assuming that's what you're talking about, or is it further on here? Because as you come in for landing, like, we don't see anything pad-wise until you get, like, you can't see anything any of the ground until about here, like 7:35. Yeah, it could be. That could be the exhaust cloud. I think somebody said, "Is that the exhaust cloud?" That could be the exhaust cloud. I don't know. It's really tough to tell perspective here at this point. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming you're talking in the booster view, because I don't see anything in the stage 2 view, but... From that shown height, they might be in the same shot. As the booster gets closer to the ground, it fades out. It's an odd sight. It is, and it is an interesting look. I don't know, it might just be... It looks too close to the landing to actually be the exhaust, but it could be, because remember so the rocket, like, I don't know, this is going to be a terrible example. Where's my, let's go here. Let me pull up Flight Club. Do I still have Flight Club? Flight Club. Let's go here. Yeah, all right. Let me pull this up here. I'll show that. Basically, what I'm going to show is that the booster, it goes up like this, but then when it goes up this way, and then when it comes back like this. So it's coming much more vertical down than when it goes up. So it could be the exhaust, like maybe the exhaust as it went underneath. Because it does have, like... And I don't know why... I don't know, Flight Club doesn't seem to be showing this correctly. Oh, I'm so bad at navigating this. Flight Club is kind of showing this like it's a drone landing out here, and I don't know why, because it did not do that. So it flew up here, and they're not showing the landing here on Flight Club. So anyways, here's the separation right here. It's actually, it all happens very close. So it kind of comes up like this. Here's oh, you're not seeing this. Hold on. Let me back up. There we go. I'll even do it this way so I'm out of the way. We can see Flight Club here. So another good channel to support on Patreon, especially if you're in Florida and you want to take awesome rocket photos. Like, go support Flight Club on Patreon. Anyway, so the rocket goes up. Right here's separation. It's relatively close to the launch pad. Separates, and then it boosts back. And as it does that, it goes up. And it boosts back this way, and then lands like this, and comes kind of straight down. So it goes up here, and then it still goes up after separation, and then does this. So that could be exhaust from the first stage through, or when the first stage went through. Like that. Go back to the end of entry burn. It's on the far right of the shot. All right, we'll go back and look at that real quick. Entry burn. Entry burn. Here's entry burn. Go back. What did you say? The beginning? The end of entry burn. Okay, here's entry burn. End of entry burn. It's on the far right. I see that. That looks like it could be an exhaust cloud. Wait, that was... Oh, I see. Yep, okay, I see what you're saying. Or was it? Yeah. It goes up here, up here, up here, blah, blah, blah. End of entry burn right there. You're talking about this bit here. Yeah, that could very well be... It could be the exhaust, the exhaust cloud. I mean, it could be just a condensation cloud, but the cloud from the first stage that went through, when it went through the first time. Could be. Hard to tell, but interesting little tidbit. Okay. Let's see. Jeff, how do I link Discord? I just pay. Well, so Patreon will automatically link you, but once I get off stream, as long as you're in your Patreon profile, there should be an option to connect your Discord channel. And I do, Jeff, I do see you just joined Patreon. So thanks, Jeff. Thanks for joining the Patreon. I do see you on here. Once you I don't remember exactly where it is. Maybe one of my existing patrons might know the answer to this, but in your Patreon profile, somewhere there's an option to connect your Discord account. Because yeah, I don't see it linked on here now. So if you go into Patreon and go into like your account settings, you should be able to link your Discord account. Patreon will automatically give you the Patreon secret role in Discord, but It usually takes forever to do that, so I go through and do it manually because I can do it. I can do it faster. So, Jessica Mills, Tim Dodd said it was. Said it was what? The exhaust cloud? I would believe that. Everyday Astronaut said it was the exhaust. All right, I'll take his word on it. It does look like the exhaust. I can see it. Oh, there you go. Jeff Gregorius threw in some instructions there. Click on the gear icon, lower left. It opens the account settings. Then click connections in the top left. There you go. Got it. Thanks. Yeah, awesome. As soon as I get off the stream, I'll go back through any of the Patreon members that don't have the role yet. I'll manually give you the role just to speed up that process. Let's see what other comments I missed. Yeah, I think we got them all. I'm confused. What is this rocket for? This was a SpaceX Falcon 9 that launched the SAOCOM-1B satellite. It's a Earth observation satellite that's, I think what it's doing is doing soil moisture observations. That's what the main satellite here. Big deal for Argentina. It's an Argentinian satellite launching today. Also big deal for the US and for SpaceX. The first polar orbiting launch from Cape Canaveral since the 1960s. After we had the Cuba cow crisis. If you don't know what the Cuba cow crisis is, go on my YouTube channel and watch the historic SAOCOM-1B video that I made. It's pinned right on my homepage of my YouTube channel. There's a video about the Cuban cow crisis. It's a real thing. The Cuban cow crisis. Watch it. It's an interesting story. It's one of those crazy spaceflight stories that you're like, that can't be real. Is that for real? It's real. It's a real thing. Have the two smaller satellites been released yet? Yes, they have. They have. And that means that it's my cue to head out. Because I got to recover before the Rocket Lab launch, which is we're going to go live exactly 2 hours from right now. We'll be live again, right back here for Rocket Labs. Rocket Labs returned to flight after they had a launch failure on their last rocket. So we're going to go watch some Rocket Lab in 2 hours from now. So if I missed your question, throw it in Discord, join our Discord. I'm going to go decompress and just kind of lay down for a bit, and I'll chat it up in Discord, and I'll make sure all our new Patreon members have access to our secret channels, and we can chat it up on the Patreon secret channels. Yeah. All right, that's it. We're getting crazy now. That's going to do it for me. Thanks, everybody, for joining and hanging out with us and having some fun. This was a good time. I'm glad you guys are here supporting the channel and you're having fun. You're having fun with me because I'm having fun. One way or the other, I'm having fun. Hopefully you're having fun too, and that's why you're here. So, all right, that's going to do it. Hopefully I see you back here in 2 hours. What else you got going on? Come on, you got nothing going on. Come back here. 2 hours, we'll go watch more rockets. How much more exciting can you get than that? Rockets! It's a Rocket Palooza. Rocket Sunday. Rockets, rockets, rockets. How many times can I say rockets? I don't know. We got to get out of here. Right? All right. That's it. My name's Tori. This is Overlook Horizon. I'll see you in 2 hours. Goodbye.